first, failure to relaunch. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, I leave town for a few weeks and all hell breaks loose.
Make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, and I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. You know, not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world.
Every day I have a test. Of course, although he somehow tries to deny it, Biden's poll numbers are cratering. Swing states, nationals, approval ratings, all of it. Now, this is a new battleground state poll by the liberal group Democrats for the Next Generation that shows Trump up by an average of 4 points on Biden across the board, including by a staggering 5 points. Yes, 5 points in Pennsylvania. But today was the unofficial Biden campaign post-debate disaster relaunch. It's the day that Scranton Joe would come roaring back.
I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention. What the hell are we doing, Joe? What are we doing? This is bizarre.
I'll say. And after 6 House Dems have called for him to step aside, well, the White House didn't want any more folding. So to stem the bleed, Team Biden sent a letter to the Hill written by some aides. The same aides have been covering up his condition for years. And the letter said, despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I'm firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump. And finally, Biden had a call with a handpicked group of big donors where he said, we can't waste any more time being distracted. I have one job, and that's to beat Donald Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that. Well, the donors, we hear, were 100% supportive. But after Biden's ABC interview dud, mega donors like the Netflix founder Reed Hastings had reiterated his call for Biden to step aside. Hastings told ABC that Biden is unfortunately in denial about his mental state. And indeed, their denials continued today, pouring cold water on Biden's reboot. The White House and the president are in conflict, it seems, over the timing and nature of a post-debate doctor's visit.
I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked them if they did a COVID test because they were trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus. I didn't. He just had a really bad cold.
He did not have a medical exam. He did not have a physical. He did do like a verbal check-in with his doctor a couple days after the debate, and it was very quick. It was a couple of words that were spoken to each other, and that's how we were able to give you that answer. But he did not have a medical exam.
And then reports that Parkinson's specialist Dr. Kevin Kennard visited the White House 8 times in 8 months, with different White House staff listed as contact points. Now, knowing that this information in White House logs had been reported on, one would think that on this big relaunch day, the White House would have been ready to answer some pretty legitimate questions about Dr. Kennard and the nature of his visits. Instead, America witnessed more stonewalling.
The president, I can tell you, has seen a neurologist 3 times, as it's connected to a physical that he gets every year that we provide to all of them.
It's a very basic, direct question.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
8 times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
That's what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here. Every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So That is answering that question.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. You're
Dr.
asking
Kevin
me.
Kennard come
I
to the
cannot.
White House
But I just.
specifically
I
about the
also said
president's
to you,
condition.
Ed. I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names of specialists broadly, from a dermatologist to a neurologist. We cannot share names. There are security reasons. We have to. We have to protect.
It's public.
I understand that.
I looked it up before I came out here.
hear
It's
you.
right there for anyone to see.
Ed, I hear you. I cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too. We have to give them.
Discussion at the doctor.
We have to keep their privacy.
It is
It's
public.
public information.
I
It is
hear you.
listed that he
I
went
am.
to
And you're going
I-
to allow
guys,
this to fester
guys,
longer, Kareem,
guys,
unless the White House
guys,
answers the
hold
question.
on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth with me in this
We're a
aggressive
little
way.
miffed around here about how information's been shared with the press.
Every time I come back and I answer the question that
And
you guys
answered it
asked.
correctly, you didn't have to come back and clean it
I
up.
never
a few days
answered the
later.
question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered.
Don't you love the fact that they're finally doing their jobs, the media, finally, because they think Biden's going to hurt them, hurt the power. They're finally asking questions, and then KJP doesn't know what to do with it. Privacy, security, she's citing? What? We're talking about the President of the United States, you know, the guy who has the power to launch a nuclear war. But they frankly don't think that you have the right to know anything, unless a court maybe forces them to turn it over.
The president could authorize that his medical records or additional medical information could be made public because he could waive HIPAA, he could do those things.
I don't know how all of that works. I'm not going to pretend I know how that works. And what I will do is certainly will share that information with the powers that be. I just don't want to get into a back and forth on that particular question.
Now, this was a complete but entertaining train wreck. Now, if the Bidens really wanted to put it all to rest, they would allow his doctors to be available in the briefing room. Oh, they loved it when Fauci was there, right? And that doctor would answer any and all questions, or have a panel of doctors. They'd talk about all their evaluations or lack of evaluations, and just tell us about Biden's overall cognitive health. But look, we know at this point, and the media's just waking up to this, and the White House has zero credibility. They've shredded it. And now the KJP and company, they want to get all indignant with people for actually doing their jobs?
I do take offense to what Ed alluded to. You know, come out here, every day there's a press briefing, and we do our best to give you the information that we have at the time. To say that I'm holding information or allude to anything else is not unfair. It's really, really unfair.
Now, today, the White House succeeded in showcasing Biden, though, as an angry old man on MSNBC, with his staff doing the same thing they've done for 3.5 years, covering for him, so they can just cover for themselves, after all. It's a hideous and it's a reckless game they're playing, and the Democrats deserve every bit of what they're going to get in November for their part in this charade. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.